You are listening to the only show where a former police officer, alongside a current law school student, tackle politics, the legal system, and corruption. The show, known around the world as Qualified Immunity. How are you?
I'm good for now. I mean, yes. I don't know.
You act like I'm just gonna make you mad.
I thought that's what this show was all about.
No, this show is generally you making me mad.
Oh, that's very true, actually. Should I apologize?
No,
Okay.
apparently it's very great.
Oh, well, in that case.
Yeah, no, don't get any ideas.
Oh.
We're gonna have some fun today. Tonight, no, man, whatever. Because we,
Oh, wow, yeah.
yeah, we live lives, really busy lives, and we ended up recording in the middle of the night. So if you listen to this on your way to work, like if you go listen to the Delirious episode, it's worth it. Because I think we're both walking exhausted.
Do we have one that was marked delirious?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's one called the Delirious episode. Today's topic of conversation: the rural rejection.
The what?
Rural.
Rule. Like R-U-L-E?
No.
R-U-R-A-L.
Yes.
Okay. So, this is not what I thought we were going to talk about today. What is this? What?
Country conundrum.
Country. You keep saying words and they don't mean anything.
They do.
Like, I don't. What are you talking about?
How mainstream media just forgets about anybody outside of St. Louis.
Yeah, actually, yeah. And the show is supposed to be me making you mad.
It's almost like I set that up. But they do. I mean, if you really want to like go look at mainstream media, especially mainstream national media.
Oh, yeah, they do it even on the local level. I mean, they do it in Oklahoma.
Well, and that's the thing too. Everybody, like a lot of people, if you spent your entire life from the East Coast to the West Coast, you think of Oklahoma.
Flyover states.
Well, not even that, but you're like,
well, you're right. You're right, but you're also wrong because they don't even think of Oklahoma.
well, yeah, but somebody says, well, I'm from Oklahoma. You don't realize, like, I have met people that do not realize that we have, like, that Oklahoma City has more than, like, 100,000 people in it.
Yeah. I've told you the story about when my father went to go, my dad and I both fly, for everybody who doesn't know. Did I tell you the story about when he went to go pick up an airplane, and I think it was in Florida, and it was some guy from New York, had never been outside of New York, like a 10-block radius outside of New York until he moved to Florida.
I rolled it up.
Did I tell you about their conversation?
Mm-hmm.
I won't mention the last half because he asked a question that is not socially acceptable.
Oh.
But the first half of the conversation was, where are you guys from? I almost said, where are y'all from? He didn't say y'all. Where are you
from?
Yeah, where are you guys from?
Uh-huh.
And my dad said, well, we're from, actually, I don't think it was my dad. I think it was my dad. He kind of piped up and said, oh, we're from Oklahoma. And this guy kind of sat there and he scratched his chin and kind of thought for a second. He said, y'all got any of them longhorn steers? And the guy that was with my dad, he said, yeah, if you guys keep them as novelties, but they're not everywhere. Yeah. He also asked a question about Native Americans, which we won't get into. But,
I mean, I got asked in D.C. one time.
Yeah.
Like how many people, if there was electricity running in the teepees. And I thought they were trying to make an all-color joke. They weren't.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy.
Or how many kids ride horses to school?
Yeah, this guy asked about Native Americans,
Mhm.
and the response, it was a very uncultured question, and the response was equally uncultured. So, but yeah, people they have no concept of what happens in Oklahoma. They
It's
think
like,
it's a third world country.
well, oh yeah, and it's like, you say Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, and people just look at you like,
Yeah.
people there?
At least when you say something like Montana, they think, oh, that's ranching country.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have some idea what's going on there. I mean, it may or may not be accurate, but
I just, it's one of those, and people talk about this, but nobody talks about this from the point of view that we come from, to where we're here.
Yeah.
Like, well, I did live in the middle of nowhere, but I currently live in a hotel room. But you still get this moment of time of going, everybody wants to look up and be like, oh, well, we need, this goes back to, this, I knew I was going to do it. This goes,
you can't fight the yawns.
oh my god, I can't.
Don't try. Don't even try.
And after the nightmare I had today, you're brave, by the way.
I'm brave.
Yeah.
You got COVID?
You're saying closer than 6 feet away from me, and I got sent home from work because somebody
You don't have the COVID.
close to me had the COVID.
Got the Rona. You don't have it, do you?
I don't know.
You haven't had a positive test though.
No.
Okay, we're good.
I got the test results back.
Let me know when you get the results back. If it's positive, then I don't get to go back to the campus.
What if I take the antibody test? I have the antibodies. That means you've been around me.
You probably won't. I mean, how deep into this conversation?
No, we're done.
We're done.
Yeah, we're done.
From what I've heard, the antibody test is only good for like 6 months. Like after that, it's not really all that accurate for antibodies.
Absolutely not. But we live in this world, though. Everybody, it is a popular thing to say abolish electoral college.
Oh, that's what we're talking
There
about.
it is.
Okay. I see how this is.
Let's see how far. Like, not this far in every time. You're like, oh, there it is.
Yeah. What is this really about?
But everybody talks about let's abolish the electoral college and make every vote matter the same, and one be one, and one vote be one vote, and you can probably. I mean, I can. We can both explain why the electoral college is important.
Yeah.
You could probably explain it better. Because I'm recording the yawns like on a serious.
I feel like I should say bless you. Like that
Oh.
was. Grab your soul and stick it back in your body.
Painful. Oh my god. Well, we're to this point where everybody wants to look up and say, let's abolish the electoral college. Let one vote be one vote. And I will say this, on the surface, on the surface, their motives are pure and it's a decent idea.
But what's the old saying? The road to hell is
Faith and intentions.
Yeah. I mean,
So
I guess it's a philosophical difference. I shouldn't paint this like I'm right and everybody else is wrong. It's just a philosophical difference. I mean,
no.
it depends on where you want to come from.
No, it's not a philosophical difference.
You don't think so?
It's a fundamental misunderstanding of what this country is.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I
Which, again, I don't think that's a moral thing. I think that's a philosophical thing. It may be miseducation, maleducation, whatever you call that, misinformation.
Intentional maleducation?
How many times are you going to yawn?
Dude, I don't know. It's going to be called the yawn episode. Like, I
That just
literally.
makes it sound boring.
Yeah, it does. But I literally, I didn't yawn all night. At the
No.
second I hit record, it's like,
You were fine until we got on.
yeah. It's like I'm putting myself to sleep with my own voice.
It's not that super. I really don't know. I don't know.
Surprised he keeps showing up to the show. he hated he hated our first podcast so much he went to law school. Sorry.
Trade one misery for another.
But we're stuck in this moment of time where people really, there's a movement, especially because of Hillary's loss. Oh my God! Don't.
Oh, did you yawn? You yawned?
Yeah,
Sorry,
I did.
I was too busy laughing. I didn't notice.
I know, because I know what you're laughing at. Don't.
I just love memes so much.
I know you do. I mean, you got kicked off Facebook.
Yeah.
But we can legitimately sit here and say Hillary Clinton won the vote.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton won.
But every Trump supporter is going to argue with you.
She actually won the popular vote.
They will all argue.
How?
Well, there was voter fraud.
It wasn't even close.
Well, how many? She won by like several million votes.
Yes, millions of
Talking about
votes.
voter fraud in the millions.
I mean, I think every election has voter fraud.
I do too. I mean, you can't bring voter fraud down to zero.
No.
That
You're gonna tell me there's 3 or 4 million?
several million
I don't believe that.
fraudulent votes cast.
I don't believe that.
That, well,
250,000 maybe.
Even if okay, let's go down this rabbit hole just for a second. Even if you do, did you just yawn again? Stop it. I'm gonna yawn eventually, and that's when the thing is done. Then we're done at that point.
This gets contagious.
So even if you do believe that there were 4 million fraudulent votes cast, you have to admit at that point, okay, our election system is
Totally screwed.
it's completely screwed. How do we trust this election system
You don't.
if there are millions of votes being cast that are not valid?
You don't.
Then why do we still have elections? I mean that's
I don't think there's that much voter fraud.
I don't think there is. Well, I don't think there is either.
I think Hillary Clinton legitimately won the popular vote.
She probably did.
Here's the thing about that, though. We're not a democracy.
Well, we were not founded as a democracy.
We are not a democracy.
I think we're pretty darn close at this point.
No.
Okay, what would we have to do to get a little bit closer to a democracy?
How many state laws are passed? How many state and or federal laws are passed with the direct vote of the people?
Okay, that's fair. That's actually a fair argument.
On a percentage scale.
Almost none, because contrary to what I personally used to argue and what a lot of conservatives still argue, people are not that stupid. I don't think the general public is stupid enough to enact the laws that we have in this country. I really don't.
I think they're ignorant enough to.
Well, I think they're ignorant enough to allow it, but if they actually had to go to the
And
polls
here's the
vote
other
on
thing.
it, I don't think they would pass it.
And I could take. I'm going to take some heat for this statement. You know one thing. You know the phrase "I cannot stand in politics." Well, they're not doing what their constituents want them to do.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've talked about this before.
They're not supposed to.
Yeah, that's why they were elected instead of having their constituents vote on everything.
They're not supposed to do what you want them to do. This is the problem people do not understand about the electoral system in which we live in. You get to pick people to make decisions for you.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't like it,
And if you don't like it, your alternative is to not re-elect them.
exactly.
But they're not doing what their constitution. We didn't vote them in so they could go do this. No, you voted them in to make decisions for you on your behalf at whatever level they're at, local, state, federal, whatever. The flip side of that becomes the Electoral College would not be a debate or a discussion if we would not have just absolutely overblown the office of the President of the United States. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful to any president. Not. What I am saying is the president was never designed, and the presidency was never designed to be the most powerful man in the world.
Yeah.
The role of the presidency in its conception was a figurehead.
Please don't do it.
Dude, I can't. I don't know why. I'm literally like, I hit record and
I'm going to throw my tea all over you.
awful case of yawns. But the office of the presidency was designed to be a figurehead, not to be a political kingship.
I don't, well, for the most part, I agree with you. I don't even know if I would call it a figurehead. I don't even think it's supposed to be that much.
Well,
it's supposed to be a little bit more than what the English monarchy is now.
see, I think the President of the United States was supposed to be what the Secretary of State is become.
Yes, actually.
Like, in all honesty.
Yeah.
That's what the presidency was supposed to be. You were supposed to be the Secretary of the States.
And I think the big holdover from that concept is that we still talk about foreign and domestic policy. Like that's the big division in policy. Is we talk about foreign and domestic. Well, that's what the Secretary of State does.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got those two, and then you've got the military. That's pretty much what the president is supposed to do.
It's supposed to do. The problem is, due to executive overreach and executive power, yada yada.
And legislative
Excuse?
delegation of power.
Yeah, but there's.
Our congressmen and our senators are failing us. They've been failing us for decades.
Well, yeah. Like,
They
Congress
should,
is supposed to be the most powerful.
yeah, they should have run this in almost a century ago, if not more. Probably more. I'd say probably more.
Ran in about 1860. No, before that.
Yeah, before that. I'd say probably 1803.
That was late 1820s, 1830s, somewhere in there.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
The president looked at the Supreme Court and said, "Okay, cool, enforce it."
Yeah. I will be honest, I do kind of like some things about Jackson. But that,
you knew what I was talking about.
oh, I know exactly who you're talking about.
I can't stand it.
Do you know who I was talking about?
Jefferson or Adams?
Jefferson. Yeah. Although Adams was a turd. Adams was.
Like, you hate Adams.
I do hate Adams, and part of that's because I love Jefferson so much. But Adams was just wrong on so many things.
That makes me like really disturbed because I keep taking these quizzes and I'm Adams.
I know. And you keep telling me about that. I'm like, that's not a good thing, right?
But I don't see the correlation between me and Adams.
Now that I think about it, I don't think I do either, because you're not. Adams was basically a fascist,
Yes.
and you're not.
No. Adams was the original Dylan.
Yeah. Don't talk bad about my country,
Or I'll
throw you in prison.
or shoot you. Oh. But the problem we run into is you've got this moment of time, and this is a very fragile. What we're going to come up on is a very fragile moment in time. If Trump wins and Biden wins the popular vote,
Yeah.
I honestly don't see that happening. I honestly believe Trump will win the landslide. Honestly,
I do too. I'm pretty sure Trump is going to win. I don't know if it'll be necessarily by landslide, but I think it'll be pretty clear. Again.
dude, I told you, like, I don't get it.
We need to start keeping track of how many.
That's at least 6. I just, in case nobody can see this, I'm like legitimately consistently yawning, and it is killing me.
That's more than 6.
Okay, you're gonna handicap at 8.
Sure. Why not?
It's not my golf handicap.
I mean, we're about, what, 20 minutes in?
Yeah, something like that. But well, okay, this is my if Trump gets more than 320 electoral votes, landslide.
Yeah,
That's a landslide.
technically, yeah, I think it would be.
Because that's a swing of 50.
Trump is
Trump, dude, there's no way Trump loses. Like, here's the funny part. JoJo has to win one state.
Yeah. Yeah.
One state.
Yeah.
At this entire, well, theoretically, one state. And this entire thing is thrown into a nightmare.
I kind of hope that happens just a little bit.
I do too, but like, what state? Like, the one state she could. I seriously don't. I love the fact she's going around the country.
Yeah.
Go to New Hampshire, stay in New Hampshire. Do not leave New Hampshire.
Well, and the thing is, if she did that, she actually might have a chance of winning New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I mean, you know about what is it called? Where all the libertarians and anarchists moved in New Hampshire. Was that Free State Project?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Free State Project. A whole bunch of libertarians and
Yeah, they all moved to New Hampshire.
anarchists. People call
ANCAPs.
themselves. Yeah, ANCAPs. They all moved to New Hampshire because they thought, oh, we'll just take over the state, and they didn't. But there's a big presence there.
There's enough of them there that like go to New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Do not leave New Hampshire.
Yeah. They may have. I don't know if they actually took over the state or not. I don't watch New Hampshire politics.
I mean, according to all the lists, though, they're some of the freest states in the country.
Yeah. Is it? Is it one of those states has a flag, like their flag actually has like somebody standing on like a British soldier, and it's like
It's got to be New Hampshire, Vermont.
I really want to say Vermont, but I'm not sure that's right.
Because Vermont is such a conundrum. Because one of the freest states in the country is Vermont.
Yeah, and you're confused because of their senator.
Yes. He's going to know this. There's a senator from the state of Vermont. His name is Bernie Sanders. I'm like, what?
Who's the other senator from Vermont?
I have no idea.
Oh, it's Virginia. Is it Virginia?
Like,
Oh, but yeah. Virginia's flag has, or their seal. Yeah, it's their flag. It says 6 Emperor Tyrannus on the bottom, and it's got Lady Liberty standing on top of what looks like a king. Yeah, king. Yeah, great stuff.
Has their governor seen this? I feel like this should be West Virginia's flag.
What is West Virginia's flag?
Oh,
I'm really curious now.
Here's Sheldon Cooper. Welcome to the next episode of Rural Rejection.
You make fun of me, but you know I'm a big geography buff.
I make fun of you all the time.
That's also true.
Miracles happen. Casey agreed with
I think I like the West Virginia slogan better.
Oh.
But
We're not going to dissect state flags.
the flag though is just I don't know.
That's disturbing.
I do like the slogan. Mountaineers are always free. I like that.
The entire. Never mind. I'm not going to get into the entire geopolitical reason why the state of West Virginia exists and why it's absolutely ridiculous that it does.
It's a fascinating story though.
It's federal overreach.
Yeah, but like how the people of West Virginia actually got away from Virginia is it's crazy. It's a crazy story. It's fun, but it's crazy.
Oh.
Stop. Don't do it.
Oh.
Did you yawn?
Yeah. I'm not even tired though. Like, I don't know why I'm yawning. Oh my god, I'm so far off topic.
You need to breathe more.
Probably. Everybody, there's a movement to remove the electoral college.
Oh yeah, we are.
And the problem becomes when you move the electoral college, 3 cities in the entire country pick the president. I'm serious.
LA,
Yeah.
New York.
Yeah. Chi-town.
What?
Chi-town.
Chicago.
Chicago. LA, New York, and Chicago would pick the president.
I mean, Texas has a lot of electoral votes, but they're pretty spread out.
It's all spread out.
Yeah, that's why I don't have a problem with Texas very much because it's a huge ass state.
Oh man! So a couple of years ago, this was an idea that was floated. It's actually a brilliant idea. When Texas became a state, part of
Is this what I'm thinking it is?
part of their charter to become a state is they had the right to divide the state.
Yes, they did not reserve the right to secede. That is not what they reserved. Everybody gets that wrong.
They reserved the right to. Well, and I still think Texas could legally secede, but
Philosophically, I think there's a pretty good argument for that.
I think you and I could argue that in front of the Supreme Court and win.
Yeah.
Especially right now.
Yeah. You can't make that argument with something like Oklahoma. But
No,
you can
can't.
easily make it with Texas.
You can easily make it with Texas. You can easily make it with Texas, and there's another state. There's two of the ones I think you can make the argument in too.
I think you could make it with at least 14. Probably more.
That legally they could secede.
I think you can make the same argument for most of the original 13 colonies. It would be.
I never looked at it like that.
It's not as good of an argument. I mean, Texas is a really, really good argument.
There's another one's a really good argument too.
What's that?
Hawaii.
Maybe. That's a harder argument to make than Texas.
There's another really good argument too. Alaska.
Curious what the argument is for Alaska.
It was bought.
Yeah. As opposed to.
Well, the argument becomes, how do you buy land from somebody that doesn't own it?
Okay.
Okay. This is why I say this could work, because if you did it in Alaska, you could do it with the entire Louisiana Purchase.
And we bought Alaska from
Russia. And I don't remember when. It's late 1800s, early 1900s.
Yeah, I knew it was in the 19th century.
It's before the Bolsheviks.
Yeah.
Bolsheviks.
So we bought it from Russia. Why? What's the argument for Russia not?
Okay, if there was a farmer there or a Native American that owned land,
Yeah.
he didn't sell that land.
Okay.
It opens my
Were they living in Russia though?
It doesn't matter.
That's an interesting theory. I've never heard that argument before. That's interesting.
I came up with my own reading Supreme Court articles on that. Going how, because there's precedent there that you cannot buy something that you can't.
Yeah.
You can't sell something that's not yours. Versus if I become the governor of Oklahoma one day, what if they can do that there?
Right.
What holds me back from selling Oklahoma to Mexico?
Well, see, I think I know how I could argue against that because, when a city annexes certain territory, like you can object for a certain amount of time. Like there's a certain point in time where you can say, "Hey, I object. I don't want to be a part of this city."
I mean, I understand that.
I don't want the benefits. I don't want the taxes.
Cool, object to it. I'm still the governor.
Well, then I have to go to court.
And by the time it goes to court, all the signs will be in Spanish.
True, but in the case of Alaska, nobody objected.
That
So,
you know of.
well, if there's an objection filed,
In our Russian court system.
also a good argument.
And Hawaii was basically just annexed.
Yeah, Hawaii is an interesting argument because we basically just took over Hawaii.
Yeah.
Like,
And made it a state and said we don't care.
yeah.
I'm telling you, there's an argument with Alaska.
I guess that argument for Hawaii would apply to a lot of territory.
Guam, Puerto Rico.
No, like mainland territory.
See, I
mean, look at half of Oklahoma.
oh yeah.
We just took that from somebody else. It wasn't like, you
But
know.
if you get to the point of saying, if you can set the precedent somewhere that it was bought, and not everybody that lived there,
Consented.
or even say a majority, a plurality,
Yeah.
consented,
Yeah.
it's no longer a valid sale,
Right.
which opens the door to somebody's going to take this idea one day. Like, they're going to hear this and take this idea and it'll actually work, and I'm going to be really pissed. So I'm like, I came up with that. And you're in law school and you've never heard this theory.
True. It on the one hand it makes sense, but on the other hand, like I could see arguments on both sides for this one.
I think the Supreme Court right now.
Yeah. Well, considering their recent decisions with Oklahoma,
Yep.
I could see that being really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Because then you go back to 1803.
You know those like live recordings from the Supreme Court, people make oral argument.
Yeah.
I would want to listen to that. That's one that I would look at.
I could argue this in court.
I really want somebody to make this argument.
Like, I really wish I could come to OU and do a, like, mock court.
Moot court. Well, I guess in your case, yeah, it would be mock court because the court is not actually moving.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was nerdy.
Good.
Sorry.
Like, holy start, okay, Spock, back to reality.
Okay, sorry.
Like, I wish I could come to OU and do a mock case with this.
We really, man, that's interesting.
Granted, I would get eaten alive, but
Depends. Depends on who you're arguing against, and who the judges are. The judges are the ones you need to worry about. The judges are the ones that'll be all over.
but you've got to. Well, I don't know the rules. Part of the reason I don't know the rules.
For mock court, the rules are really relaxed. Actually, for oral argument in general, the rules are really relaxed.
But yeah, because that's like I've always thought about this. Like, I would love to go test this out and be like,
Have you listened to live recordings from like SCOTUS?
yeah,
That's what it is. I mean,
really,
that's oral argument. That's the way it is in all the appeals courts.
that is really relaxed.
You start into your argument. Some judge decides they want to jump you, and then they just do whatever they want, and you have to roll with it. That's the fun part about it. You have to be really quick thinking on your feet. You got to be able to roll with whatever they ask.
See, that would be the fun part.
It is fun. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I'm trying not to yawn. Don't look at me like that. But no, if you can establish the fact that you do not have the right to sell something in which you do not own the entirety of, there's already law there. You can't sell a car
Yeah. Well,
if the title says person A and
Yeah.
person B.
that's like first day property stuff. You can't sell something you don't own,
Exactly.
and that's why title exam is such a big thing, because you want to make sure somebody owns it before they sell it.
So, again, how can we buy Alaska if people own something there?
Again, my argument comes back to you're not actually buying the land, you're buying the jurisdiction. Does that make sense? Which
I'm not sure, but
I'm trying to
I'm
remember.
not sure you could buy jurisdiction.
I think it was Immanuel Kant that actually talked about this, because Kant actually had he talked about
Because this all comes back to the Electoral College.
yeah. I'm trying to wonder how this does actually come back to the Electoral College, but whatever. Kant actually argued about how republics are formed, and he talked about basically this idea that if one country sells their territory to another country, that's unjust for the people in that territory, because they should be able to decide who
I agree, because they have ownership.
and he talked about the ideal government society being a republic or basically a federal republic, where people just decide if they want to join or not, and if they decide they don't want to be in it, they just leave.
Yep.
And
And for everybody out there that's going to say secession was settled in 1865, no, it was not. It really wasn't. Nobody's ever just pushes and stuff.
One, a lot of conservatives are going to be mad when I say this. One of the very many things that Scalia said that I think is just absolute garbage. Because
Yeah.
Scalia said that, like, in a court event, he was like, this was made illegal in the 1860s.
No, it wasn't.
My argument is, show me in the law where it's illegal.
True. Of course, when Abraham Lincoln appointed Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and sorry, too soon. Like she actually did do some good stuff.
There were some things that she did that were really, really good. It's just
Dude, I don't despise her like I despise some other justices.
No, because Gorsuch is a fascist. Like he was a legit fascist when he was in high school and college.
No way.
I think it was Gorsuch. I have to look this up now.
No way.
Gorsuch.
I want something reputable that says that.
Do what?
Something reputable that says that. If all your sources are the New York Times, I don't care.
This is a really long answer, which makes me think the answer is no, but yes. So this one says that as a joke, the Supreme Court nominee wrote that he founded the non-existent club, Fascism Forever Club.
Oh.
Which, why would you joke about that? Like,
especially back in that day, because
yeah.
that wasn't
1985.
That wasn't. I mean, that's not that far removed from Hitler and Vietnam and the Iranian crisis and where did it come? Or
U.S. News and World Report.
I believe that. It's slanted, but I believe it.
Did Neil Gorsuch found the Fascism Forever Club? References to the organization appear to have been a yearbook-only joke, is what this says.
So he did, but he didn't.
Georgetown. So maybe yes, maybe no. Apparently he said that it was just a joke.
Okay.
Georgetown Preparatory School.
Spock.
What?
This is how this all comes back.
Okay.
If you could make that argument
For Texas?
Texas or Alaska or anybody,
Okay, yeah.
then the Supreme Court argument is always an argument.
Supreme Court argument.
Or, sorry,
Electoral
college. Sorry, the next show we're doing is on the Supreme Court.
You're going to have to explain what you mean.
The only reason the Electoral College is an issue right now is to make sure that every state is equal. Yes.
Right. It places the more populous states on more equal footing with the less populous.
Yes.
Right.
Which is offset by the Senate and Congress.
Right.
That being said, however, if you open the door, well, if Texas was smart, they'd split it into fives and gerrymander the shit out of it, and it would add 5 Republican senators.
If.
If.
Well, that's my argument for Republicans nationwide. If they were smart. By the way, everybody that's listening, there's a secession movement in California. It's gotten a lot stronger with Donald Trump. Republicans just need to push that as hard as they can.
Hashtag State of Jefferson.
Yeah.
I lived there.
But if
I was so lit there.
If California seceded from the Union, the Republicans would never lose another presidential election.
No, but the problem is you also lose the third biggest economy in the world.
The Republicans would never lose another.
Who gives a shit if you can't?
If Republican policy is as good as every Republican says it is, they'll bounce back.
It's not.
I know, but if they really believe that it is, they should be fine with it.
Plus, where are they going to move Bohemian Grove?
That's the other thing. They talk about like If California seceded,
Sidestep the hell out of that question.
if California seceded, their economy would collapse and they'd be taken over by somebody else.
I don't believe that.
I don't believe it either, but my argument always is, so what's the problem? if you're
Welcome to economics.
if you're that worried about it, then I mean, I don't understand why you're worried about it.
This is like the United States and California at the moment is like the idea of a couple of and she's like, fine, I don't like you anymore. I'm gonna go try this over here, and then a couple months later, a couple years later, she comes back and she's like, yeah, you were right. You're the one for me. So that's exactly what would happen if California seceded.
Maybe.
I'm also the person that says the United States should split into at least 3 countries. At least. Or we go back to the idea of the United States of America.
Yeah. Have you seen the proposal that actually, not the state of Jefferson, but the like splitting California into like 5 different states?
Yeah. That would collapse some places.
You think so?
Yes, because like the entire LA metroplex.
Okay. Yeah.
It becomes its own state.
Yeah.
Even though it's already a city state.
Yeah.
Like LA, Chicago, New York are city states.
Yeah.
And that's actually part of the problem when it comes to electoral college is they are city states.
I never really thought about that, but they actually kind of are.
They are.
Wow.
How have I thought more about this than you have?
You think nationally, and I don't. I think a lot about Oklahoma politics.
I'm sitting there going, you're like part of the movement-ish. The everybody pick a new flag movement.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, the peaceful secession movement.
And I'm not.
That's true. Maybe that's why you're not as easy to thought about this more. I don't know.
No, I'm not because I don't have time to waste on shit that's not happening.
You don't think it'll happen?
No.
It's got to happen eventually. The United States is
Not
going to last
peaceful.
forever. It might not be peaceful. I mean,
Do I think it's going to happen? Yes. Do I think it'll be peaceful? No. Not that. I'll almost chance it out.
I can dream though.
Hey, miracles happen. Miracles happen. Just
I'm never going to escape that song now, am I?
But hey, you tried DMT?
I'm never going to escape that one either now. As long as we are friends, it's going to be miracles happening. As long as this show endures, it's going to be.
Have you ever tried DMT?
Which is funny considering that neither one of us
Has ever tried DMT. The Frozen has been all good.
Okay. I'll watch.
Okay, but I've never smoked weed before either. So
I haven't either.
I always I've jokingly told people this, but I'm halfway serious. Like I'm waiting to get on Rogan to get high the first time.
First time.
First time. But all you've got to do is set the legal framework for secessionism. I wouldn't even call it secessionism. Possession of stolen property, maybe.
I like that. That's nice. I really like that.
It's just, you hear the Native Americans talk all the time about how they get stolen land.
Yeah.
There's your argument for Alaska. I've got the argument for Alaska.
The native population. Well, if that's your, I was going to say, if that's your argument, you make the same argument for Oklahoma. Although I'm not sure you actually could, because the native population in Oklahoma is not actually native to Oklahoma for the most part.
Yeah,
They were too smart to actually live here.
agreed. But you've got the framework with what the Supreme Court did with native lands.
True.
You've got the precursor,
Well,
and nobody's
yeah.
thinking about it.
Well, and this is something we said back when you got me doing now, the Supreme Court, not the Electoral College, the Supreme Court came out with that decision. If the native peoples, the indigenous peoples, actually wanted to be free of the United States, they could do it. I mean, the legal arguments are easily there now, but they're not going to because they get a lot of benefits. I mean,
They get paid.
Yeah. Which, if I were in their shoes, I don't think I'd leave either.
I think I would.
I don't know. It depends on how much money's coming in.
But I also think economically.
The other thing is, I think they could survive on their own economically.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think they could thrive economically
because you would get a lot of tourism.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of tourism. I think that's probably the only reason Oklahoma has tourism.
Duty free.
Yeah. Well, that and I mean, you would go anywhere that's not Vegas where you can actually gamble.
Yep.
That's where it is.
Yeah, you're right.
And they make a lot of money doing that.
Here's the problem, though. This we're gonna have to do another one on the idea of tribal gambling versus everybody gambling, because there's a thought process that runs through there. I think the entire thing about everybody wants to look up and say, excuse me, dismantle the electoral college, let a vote be a vote. You've got the legal framework to make the electoral college irrelevant already, and let the country folks that you don't like live in peace.
Yeah.
What?
The old word for that is federalism. That's been
Bastardized.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I don't think I'm a federalist.
Depends on what you mean by the word. And I'm not saying that because of law school. I'm saying that because that word has changed so much in the past 400 years. 400 years ago, it means something completely different than it meant in 1790.
That's what I'm like. You say federalism, and I think like 1791 federalism. And I'm like, I'm not a federalist.
I don't know if you are or not. That's a tough thing to decide. I mean, I'm not a 1790s federalist. I can tell you that right now.
Hey, agree with Jefferson ended Adams. No, I know for a fact I agree with Jefferson ended Adams.
You ever read Patrick Henry's speeches at the Constitutional Convention? They're great. Like some of the stop yawning for crying out loud.
Something.
Patrick Henry's speeches. That's some good stuff.
Patrick Henry's speeches when he went to France were better.
Patrick Henry's speeches in general were just really good.
Yeah, but like he stepped it up a notch when he went to France.
I heard a story the other day. That's his industry class concept. I heard the other day when Jefferson went to France, he didn't actually when he was arranged to go to France, he didn't actually know any French, and so he started buying a bunch of books and taught himself French, like the text of French. But if you know anything about French, it's not pronounced the same as it's written.
No.
Like you can't tie the two together really, unless you actually studied it.
Yeah.
So he goes to France and he's pronouncing it the way it's written. And he gets over there and people like him can't figure out what he is saying. Like it makes no sense to them. Like it's like some drunk guy. Like what are you talking about? And so he has to write notes to people. Like he doesn't know how to speak the language, but he knows the language.
Wow.
So he spent his entire time in France writing notes to people because he couldn't speak. Yeah, basically.
Wow.
Texting across the room, that's Jefferson.
Yeah, I'm totally Jefferson now. Because it's like you can be sitting here and just be like, and I'll do it out of habit. I send it and I look at
like, what? Yeah. It's different when we're in a group chat. That's different.
No, like I've legitimately texted you sitting across the table.
Yeah, you do it all the time. And I'm not mad about it. Like I'm okay.
Because I'm so used to I click poll, yada yada yada. Like I pop it up, type a message, hit send, go back to what I was doing.
I've noticed it's gotten even worse now that I'm starting to get into like the Apple and Mac world because all of my texting is like right in front of me all the time. Like I open.
You used to wonder about how I answered crap so fast.
Yeah, it's a lot easier with keyboard.
Yeah, it is. And it's like when somebody in a group text starts a fight, I'm like,
shut your phones down before they burn up.
yeah. Yeah. Anyway, there's an idea, and this is a precursor to a series we're going to start next week. We're going to do a 3-part series about Succession.
Oh gosh. We're going to get into Texas history.
Yes. I feel laugh. You really have no idea what we're going to talk about every day.
No, I really don't.
Somebody told me one day it was a joke that you
No.
that like he knows what you're going to talk about before you get.
I just show up. Like I don't know what we're talking about. I thought we were talking about something completely different until we actually started. You said, I don't remember what you said, but I was like, that's not what I thought we were talking about.
Yeah, okay. So you're ready for another round table?
I was ready for another round table, actually. And here we are, talking about Texas, which Louisville and Texas not the same things.
Okay.
But if we're going to talk about Texas history, I'm good with it. I love Texas history.
I mean, there is a connection to Louisville and Texas.
We'll have to talk about that on an episode, or we can talk about it now if you want.
Yeah.
No, okay.
Dude, talk it.
Louisville,
Kentucky.
Tennessee.
Yeah, but there's a story about Crockett.
Okay.
Or, yeah. There's a story about Crockett in Louisville.
Killed in a bar when he was only 3. Sorry. Yeah.
So
David Crockett, Texans.
I'm going to say something super controversial right now, but the 3-part series we're going to do is not really about secession. It's about the Civil War
Oh gosh.
and the one we're currently in. Most of you just don't realize it yet.
Can we just do Texas history?
No, this is not a history class.
Could be.
Yeah, we would lose subscribers like we might.
No, I've got more.
Thank you for coming to the biography of Stephen F. Austin. Tomorrow on the show, David Crockett. What?
I know how to get you into the whole history thing.
Oh, I'm a history buff. I'm not.
Your favorite president,
Who's my favorite president?
JFK,
Okay, valid.
wrote a book called Profiles in Courage,
Yeah,
which included a segment on Sam Houston. Did
yes,
it not?
it did.
Yeah. I read that book. I think I read that book in less than 2 days. That was.
I've got an original copy of it.
Is it signed? Yeah. Oh. I collect 2 things, and that. Oh man, that's. Oh.
I have 5 pieces of memorabilia that are autographed by John F. Kennedy.
If it didn't mean so much to you, I would ask to buy it.
I wouldn't sell it.
I know. I'm just gonna have to kill you and take it.
Kind of like I have some of the original Kennedy family photos.
Yeah, I don't want those. I just want the signed book.
You'll never find it. It's nowhere that you've ever seen.
I know. Wait. You know how my mind works.
Mm-hmm.
When you said that, I thought, okay, so somebody that's not like it's not in his storage stuff. It's not in his house. It's got to be with a third party. Which I think I know where it is now.
Every autograph copy, everything I've got is signed by JFK is a third
Wait.
party.
Every.
So
there. How many are there?
I've got 5 things signed by JFK.
5 things all signed by JFK. Wow. That is beyond impressive.
So I've got 8 signed by RFK.
It's like mythic status.
Yeah. The funny part is, you know where I found the Kennedy family photos?
Hmm.
In the store.
Really? That That's fair. I've actually gotten some signed books just off of Amazon. Just like ordered some books used, and they came
I've
signed.
got.
And they were actually by really cool people. So
Okay. I personally have something signed by 1, 2, 3, 4 presidents. If you include stuff I will inherit, there's 5.
the other thing is I don't really care about like presidential stuff.
I've got something signed by I've got JFK, I've got Nixon, I'll inherit Reagan, I've got, and the 2 Bushes.
Well, if you ever want to sell the Nixon thing, I've got somebody that would probably pay quite a bit for it.
Between me, my parents, and somebody else.
You know that one of my former bosses actually used to work for Nixon.
No.
Yeah.
No, I had no idea. No, I like all my crafts. Like that has been hidden ever since I was a kid. Because I really didn't want to walk in on a toddler chewing on a book.
That's why you put it very high on the shelf. All of my stuff is displayed.
Oh, yeah, and you know my children.
That's also a good point. Your children are practically monkeys.
Have you met my son?
I need to show you my autograph wall sometime.
And then we've got.
That's funny. One of the Oklahoma politicians.
Oh, dear. I put county Oklahoma politicians.
Do you have a bunch of science stuff in there too?
God.
Okay.
What did I do for 2 years?
Yeah, I know. 2 years. More than that.
Chairman of the county party.
Oh, yeah, there's that too. Oh, yeah, I forgot. You actually got some of my stuff signed.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Because they do it. Because I'm like, hey, who signed this? Is that heavy cookies the last 2 hours?
After the show, I'll tell you which one signed item is the one that will never be framed. Like, I refuse to frame it because I hate that person so much.
I already know who it is.
I may have told you this already.
Mm-hmm.
No? Okay.
I guarantee I already know who it is.
We'll talk about it after the show.
Was it my profile picture forever on Facebook?
I don't know what your profile picture was. I don't think so. I don't know how to think. No. I realize now who would be your profile picture on Facebook, and that person is not one of them.
That's funny.
You'll laugh when I tell you. But Electoral College, we have not talked about the Electoral College at all.
It wasn't the point. The point was to lead it into the series we're doing next week.
Oh, okay.
We're in Civil War, and the reason we're in Civil War, this is starting as a cold Civil War, but this is freedom versus fascism.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether you're in a city or the country.
Yeah.
It looks different, but it's actually the same thing.
Well, and I think to a large extent that's what this entire election is about.
Yes.
And well, I say that. Most people don't realize that, but that's what it's about. Because Biden and Trump are the same thing.
They're the same thing.
They're both fascists.
There's fascists that have different pet issues.
Yeah. There's only one candidate that I'm aware of that is actually concerned with expanding your freedoms.
But she sounds like good. But she's her choice.
Donald Trump and Joe Biden are probably both open borders. They just won't say it. And if you want to get really controversial, I'll actually address why.
Cheap labor.
Yep.
They're economists.
I wouldn't go that far. It's all about the money.
Cheap labor undercuts the American economy, thus making the American citizen more dependent on it.
Well, I don't think that's the thought process.
Oh, I do.
I don't think the president is thinking about that.
I've heard that on the Beltway before.
Really?
Yes.
People are dumb enough to actually broadcast that?
Yes.
Oh
It's
my
the
gosh.
Beltway. Go to a bar on go to a bar near K Street.
Yeah.
Seriously, go to a bar near K Street and you will hear that and worse all day long. There's a difference. I've spent time in Washington. There's somebody that that's right off air who said that.
No, I'm sorry.
There's somebody who said something more audacious and blasphemous than that. And it was if they thought their policy was that good, they'd live by it. But it was somebody. You'll know the second I tell you the name, you'll know what I'm talking about.
I'm tempted to say I know who it is now, but we'll talk about all this after the
Yeah,
show.
because there's a massive lawsuit if I say that on there. Anyway, next week. What? Massive lawsuit.
Lawsuits. I'm a lawyer, so I hear lawsuit. I'm like, I'm not technically a law student. I hear lawsuit. I'm like, ooh, that's fascinating.
Oh. Anyway, tell them where they can find you on the socials.
I'm on Twitter at the Lucas Cohen.
And I'm on everything else. At Greg J. Eagle. I didn't do it. Anyway, next week, new series. I got some fun with it. Friday's episode is going to be about the Supreme Court and nomination process. And Lucas's head's going to blow up. Screw up your tagline.
Joe not Joe. Hashtag Joe not Joe.
Oh, he changed it.
Well, I can do the other one.
I don't care.
Vote gold, JoJo 2020.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end this the same way I always end this. Live today, love tomorrow. May you act forever. Until the holiday.